Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Thursday, September 4th, 2014. I'm Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5. Got a little bit of a different show for you today. I'm certain everyone has heard by now about the controversy surrounding the best damn band in the land. We've got a representative who's going to shed some light on the situation and bring us up to speed on where things stand there. We'll get a complete look at what's coming up on the site today. Apparently there's a big game coming up this weekend and a few recruits will be in town. We'll address that. But first, Alex Gleitman checks in with some very interesting basketball news as a recruit with a very familiar name who was thought to be out of the mix could be back in it.
Word hit yesterday that former Ohio State basketball commitment Mickey Mitchell of the class of 2015 would be making a visit to Ohio State this coming weekend with current Buckeye pledge Austin Grandstaff. Grandstaff tweeted that he would be making the trip to Columbus for the Ohio State-Virginia Tech football game with his good friend Mitchell, who is also from the state of Texas. The ironic thing here is that Mickey Mitchell was the one recruiting Austin Grandstaff to Ohio State back in the spring before Grandstaff committed to the Buckeyes on his official visit. Now the tables have turned and Grandstaff will be recruiting Mitchell to the Buckeyes again, as Mickey just recently decommitted in August. The rule of thumb, technically, when it comes to recruiting, is that when a player decommits from one school, it's very rarely he goes back to that same school. Programs such as Florida, Baylor, Texas Tech, where brother Mike, linebacker, former Ohio State linebacker Mike Mitchell had transferred, and some other in-state schools, Texas A&M and Texas, have been mentioned as places for Mickey, but no one's really mentioned Ohio State as a destination he could end up with in the end. I personally don't think he will end up as a Buckeye when push comes to shove and he's on a campus next summer, but it's certainly interesting that he's taking a visit to Columbus this weekend, and it shouldn't be ignored as his good friend Austin Grandstaff tries to get him back into the fold.
We thank Alex for joining us and bringing us up to speed on the soap opera that is the Mitchells and Ohio State. Now we shift gears to talk about the best damn band in the land. We've all heard about the controversy surrounding the famous group and its drawn some national headlines. We're pleased to be joined by Gary Lepla, who will shed some light on the situation.
We're going to go slightly off our usual path today, Bucknutters, and talk about the situation surrounding the Ohio State band. Obviously, that's garnered a lot of headlines, both in Columbus and nationally, and we're pleased to be granted access to Gary Lepla. And Gary, we spoke a little before we came on the air here, and I'm not going to attempt to explain what connection you have to the whole situation, but if you could kind of explain where or what role you're playing in this, and then kind of bring us up to speed for those who are not totally versed in the subject of where we stand.
Thanks, Dan. I'm happy to do that. Actually, I'm an attorney in Dayton. I marched in the band in the 70s, and I'm the legal review chair for the Board of Governors for the Tabitla Alumni Club, which is the alumni group of former marching band members from Ohio State. So I've been very involved in this from the outset. Where we are, to answer you,
right.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if you could just tell us what charges, what started the whole deal, and kind of bring everyone up to speed so we can take it to the next level here.
Yeah, well, actually, we're in the middle of investigating what occurred with the investigation and the facts of it ourselves now. And what we understand is that back in October 2013, there was a incident involving a male and female band student, which was not directly connected with what was going on with the marching band that Jonathan Waters dealt with. In fact, he was told by his supervisors in the student services section that he handled that situation very well. Fast forward to May of this year, and somebody connected with that incident files what's called a Title IX complaint with the university, basically saying that Jonathan Waters somehow retaliated against the student who complained. As a result of that, the university's Title IX compliance office started an investigation. They had a young investigator interviewed John Waters concerning that incident and essentially found no wrongdoing there by him. But they then snowballed that into an investigation of what they termed band culture, and that resulted in a second interview with Jonathan Waters, which they claim arose out of the original complaint. And it is that investigation that led to interviewing witnesses basically selected by the person that complained originally, with no opportunity for Jonathan Waters to submit any evidence whatsoever, and based upon 2 interviews with him when he wasn't even in the presence of a lawyer. So that all led to the matters that in a very quick period of time led to what occurred in July, which included giving him a choice of resigning or being fired while they handed him the report, which he had never seen.
So my understanding is you've had some contact with the Board of Trustees?
Yes, most recently, we've consistently tried to get answers and have a dialogue. We have a small committee investigating. We've not been granted an audience with the president. We've not been granted an opportunity. We requested to speak to the investigators. We've looked at all these letters and affidavits and things that are flying around from people saying the investigation is flawed, which it clearly is. And that led up to the Board of Trustees having their first meeting since these events occurred last week. They spent all day Wednesday in an executive session. We're not sure what went on then. They spent in their committees the largest part of the day Thursday in executive session. And then they came into a public session for the first time for 1 hour on Friday, this past Friday, the 29th. We were told a half hour before that 1 hour meeting started that we would be granted 5 minutes on that agenda to make some comments about the situation involving the marching band and Jonathan Waters. We did that. We had but 5 minutes. At the end of that presentation, the chair of the Board of Trustees simply referred to the fact that there was an investigation involving Betty Montgomery and adjourned the meeting without dialogue or comment of any kind. So that's the traction we had, so to speak, with the trustees. We want an audience. We want a dialogue. We want to exchange ideas. We would like a response to the gross factual discrepancies between this investigation the university did and what we now know to be the truth of the situation. It's a huge miscarriage of justice and a huge insult to the band, its traditions, its alumni, and to Jonathan Waters.
I won't take up too much more of your time today, but based on what you've dealt with so far in your dealings with the university, are you optimistic that that's going to happen?
It's hard to know what will happen. I do know that we're not going away. I do know that people are speaking out. They're not going away. We hear from more people every day. Very powerful and important people are speaking out. Does that change anything? I don't know, but I do know that this crisis for Ohio State is not solved by either side or running over the other side. It's solved by resolving it through discussions and consideration of the strengths and weaknesses and the real facts, and solving it like a family solves things internally. That's all we're looking for, is an opportunity to have that dialogue, and that's exactly what's been denied up to this point. I'm hopeful that everyone realizes this is the Ohio State University, and that's not the way we do business. We do it by being open and honest and having discussions.
Sounds like a good way to end it right there, Gary. We appreciate your time. We'll revisit this subject as the facts allow. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Hope you enjoyed that, Bucknutters. Obviously a little off the beaten path for us, but interesting nonetheless. Coming up on the site today, a complete rundown of the recruits coming in town for this weekend. Such five-star names as Josh Sweat and Damian Harris. We'll also have the boarding house, and make sure to hang out with your buddies on the front row. Have a great one, Bucknutters.